Hello and welcome to HealthyHouseplants.com, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. Today's video is sponsored by our Amazon affiliate link, which you can see in the comments section below. So today I'm going to talk to you about how much do I water my houseplants. Okay, so I'm not talking about how often, I'm talking about how much. When you water most houseplants, you want to drench them. I've got a Sansevieria here, which is a succulent, which is, if you can see here, pretty dry. The soil is pretty dry. And I did that. You want to do that with Sansevierias, but I also wanted to do that too, so I could water it. So the thing about how much is this. Oftentimes, people will get how often and how much mixed up. So you don't want to overwater houseplants because that can lead to root rot. So people will think, well, I just watered it a little bit. I just watered a little bit every Wednesday. There's several problems with just watering it a little bit every Wednesday. First one is you can get root rot if the plant was not ready for watering and it just needed to get to dry out some more. Another problem with just watering a plant just a little bit, which I'm going to do right now, is that the plant is only, now this plant is very dry, so it's going right through, but a lot of times what will happen, especially if the plant is moisture on the bottom or dry or moisture on the top, I should say, is that little bit will just stay in the first half of the pot. So the first half of the pot stays moist. The second half of the pot is always dry because you're not watering it enough. So what happens when that happens? It's a house deck of cards kind of a thing. What happens is then with that part underneath that stays dry, all the roots die in that part because they have no water. So then you're left with a plant that has an unlimited amount of roots. And what happens when you have a plant with a limited amount of roots is, guess what? The plant is set up for root rot, and it could very well get root rot. I do have a video on what to do if your plant gets root rot, but it would be good if you can just prevent it from happening in the first place. So that's why what you want to do with most houseplants, and like I say most because there's always some plant that's a little bit different, but for most houseplants, in the different category could be Maidenhair Fern. You want to keep them really moist so you don't necessarily have to keep watering them thoroughly, although it's just not going to hurt them. But if you want to make sure that the plant isn't going to dry out, it's okay to douse it on top because the bottom is already wet. But for most plants, you do want them to dry out almost or close to almost or close to dry. I like to say approaching dryness because it's not really good to have it completely bone dry unless you have something like a succulent, which that's okay. But generally speaking, it's not. Okay, so this guy, you want to use lukewarm or warm water. And I'm going to water this Sansevieria well. And what you want to do is you want to see the water coming out of the bottom of the pot. Now, this one was very dry to begin with, so it came out quickly. But you're going to have some plants where you keep watering and watering and watering. And you think, okay, is the water ever going to come out of the bottom of the pot? You want to wait until the water comes out of the bottom of the pot, especially important for even big plants. And then what you want to do is you want to keep watering the plant until the weight of the plant is different, until the plant becomes very heavy with water. So if you water it and then it's still lightweight, you need to keep watering. Another thing you can do is you can put the plant in another container, a little bit bigger container, fill the water. So if it's really dry and you can't quite get it to really get heavy, and put some in there and put some on top and let that soak for a little while until it's nice and heavy with the water. It's getting heavier and it's also soaking it up. And once it's done, then what you want to do is you want to take it out of the water. You want to let it drain really well before you put it back in its pot. Like in this pot, I want to make sure that it's drained all the way so it's not sitting in water. Then you wait until the plant needs water again, and then you thoroughly soak the plant once again. So that is how you water most houseplants. Thank you for stopping by today. Please leave any comments about any indoor gardening tutorials you'd like to see. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video.